So good afternoon, everyone. Today we're going to talk about email. But before we're going to start with our content, we all know that days before, when we use an email, or I mean, when we want to send a message, we always write it down because there is no such technology that we could use before. But right now, it is easier for us to send our messages instantly with just a second. Before, we usually receive our messages after 1 day, 2 days, a week, a month, or even a year for us to read those messages from our loved ones. But because of the advanced technology, we could actually have it in just one single snap. So today we're going to talk about its advantages, disadvantages, what is an email, the parts of the email, and how we could actually use it.
So in this topic, we will know first what is an email. Email or electronic mail is a way to send and receive messages across the internet. It is similar to traditional mail, but also has some key differences. To get a better idea of what email is all about, um, webmail providers. Popular webmail providers are Yahoo, Microsoft's Outlook.com, and Google's Gmail. These providers are popular because they allow you to access your email account from anywhere with an internet connection. You can also access webmail on your mobile device. Other email providers, um,
So for the other email providers, if you have observed, there are some emails that ends with .gov, .edu, .mil or MIL, and .org. This just represent the domains or at the end of the with a suffix. Many hosted web domains end with a suffix other than .com. Depending on the organization, your provider's domain might end with a suffix. So for easier segregation, there is .gov that is for the government websites, for edu that is for schools, for mil that is for military branches, and org for non-profit organizations. So just like in pop, you could search it like or their email is Professional Academy of the Philippines edu.com. That signifies that it is for a school. Or when we some like Mary Cathedral.org. So this is a non-profit organization. So they usually end with other suffix than .com for easier segregation and for us to understand what they hosted or what domains they uses. Now for the email advantages. So productivity tool. Email is usually packaged with calendar, address book, instant messaging, and more convenience and productivity. We could actually select the dates easier because we could actually see the calendar, the address book, and the instant messaging directly on email. And access to web services. If you want to sign up for an account like Facebook or other products from services like Amazon's, you will need an email address so you can be safely identified and contacted. So if you have noticed that we could actually connect one single account to another one, so it is easier for us to hold our account and it's easier for us to remember what we use for that certain program or for that certain web service that we are using. There are also a easy mail management. So email service providers have tools that allow you to file, label, prioritize, find groups, and filter your emails for easy management. You can even easily control spam or junk email. So later on, we're going to see its part to the email one. Next is we have privacy. Your email is delivered to your own personal and private account with a password required to access and view emails. There are also times when someone is trying to open your account, then directly our email or will message us that someone is trying to open your account. This is for us to have a more private private account because it requires password, and also we can view our emails when someone is trying to open it our without our permission, especially using another devices. They could detect that one. And multiple people, you can send an email to multiple people at once. So when it comes to writing down a note or writing down a message before or years ago where there is no technology, we need to write it down
One
literally,
by one.
yeah, single by one letter to another letter for us to send it to other people. But right now we could choose multiple people where we type in their accounts and send it that one message to a lot of people. So it gives us easier way to communicate with other people with just a single click of our own devices. So it is also accessible because you can access it from any computer or mobile device that has an internet connection. So there is no problem when there is a internet connection when it comes to our email because you just need to have a Wi-Fi or data connection. So now for the email disadvantages.
So email could potentially cause information overload. Email messages can contain viruses, and email lacks a personal touch. To navigate the parts of an email, click the link below.
So to further explain the previous slide, email could potentially cause information overload because there are a lot of message. There are times that we could no longer see the message that was given days ago because there are a lot of messages that is coming up, and it is sometimes it is hard for us to look for the message that we are looking to. Then email messages can contain viruses. As you could see, you would usually receive an email with those words that link the link below, and then suddenly your computer had already gained viruses. So those are kinds
Over.
of disadvantages when it comes to email because it is easier for those people to hack or even give viruses to your desktop. So email lacks a personal touch. There are times that we misunderstood message because of the words or because of how we interpret the message. Not unlike when we talk it about personally, there is a change of voice, the way we look at other people. But since we are just reading an email, we are just reading an email, just a blank word, or it's just the simple words of it. Sometimes we misunderstood it, or sometimes we give it another interpretation instead of a nice one. We look it so blank. So those are just some of the disadvantages when it comes to email, but there are more of the advantages. Now, today we're going to navigate the parts of an email. So we're just going to click this link, and then we'll be on another website.
So let's start with a subject line. So what is the email about? A good subject line summarizes the email and makes it sound important enough for the reader to open. Subject lines like hello or meeting are vague and make it difficult to know what the email will be about. So second is the sender, the email address of the person who sent the message appears here. Most email services display the person's name before their email address to make it easier to identify them. When you press reply, your email will only go to this person. So next is the recipient. If you are receiving the message, your email address probably won't appear here. Instead, you might see wording like to me. Message recipients might also include email addresses in these sections: the carbon copy or the CC, the people who receive the email for their own information but who are not expected to reply. When you press reply all of these addresses receive your response. So next is the blind carbon copy or the BCC. People who receive the email but are not listed as recipients. Senders use the BCC sender section if they don't want the recipients to know who else has received the email. They do not receive the reply all responses. So fourth is the salutation. After the subject line, your email salutation or greeting is the next part that the recipient will see. It should match the tone you're trying to set in the rest of your email. Don't skip, don't skip, don't skip this part unless you are emailing back and forth quickly with someone in a virtual conversation. Fifth is the email body. The email body contains the message of the email. Effective emails keep their email bodies short and add more extensive information to the attachments. For formal emails, such as messages to an employer or emails to your teacher, it's best to avoid common email abbreviation. Next is the closing. If an email message is an electronic letter, it's polite to end with a closing. The closing you choose should match the tone of the rest of the email. Formal closings include sincerely and thank you, while more friendly messages can use talk to you soon or see you later. Seventh is the signature. Friendly letters might sign off with the sender's name, but many business email accounts have signature sections that include the sender's position, company, and even company logo. These extended signatures are helpful when reaching out to clients or employees for other companies. And lastly, the attachment. So an email might include an attachment that provides more information. The attachment could be a document for review, a picture to share, or any other file type. Most email accounts have limits on the size of attachments. So the sender might add the file to the email body itself, then attaching it. So we will go to the parts of an email.
So this is an example of the parts of an email. So we have the subject line, as you could see, notes from yesterday's meeting. It usually summarizes what is the email is all about. Like for an example, if we're going to submit a presentation, you would use a subject line, submission for a presentation, and then that would be the subject of the the email that you are going to send. Usually says what it is all about. The next is the sender. You would see your email right there. So next is the recipient, or to whom you will send the message. Now it is also important to know the account of the person that you want to send, the person that you want to send your email, because one mistake it could not send truly to the person that you want to receive it. So next is the carbon copy. Next is the salutation, like good morning, Anna, or it is a statement of like hello, or it is a greeting. Next is the email body, which is the message itself. So this is where you would write what you want to tell to the receiver. Next is the closing. Usually it ends with thank you, thanks, or something that would close the message, or you're like wishing to have a chit chat with you when it comes to informal email, but when it comes to formal mail, usually ends with thank you, thanks again, like that. And then for the signature, it usually have your name on it and your position. Like here in this example, it has graphic design associate. So in this part is the attachment where you could also send files videos or anything that would relate to your message or anything that you want to send to your receiver. So these were the basic parts of an email. So I think that wraps up our presentation about email. So I hope you understand the content, and if you have questions, you may ask the presenters. Thank you.